So we got levels. Yeah, good. Okay. Welcome, everyone. It's another edition of our Partner Spotlight on CST here with me, Radio Gaga, and I'm delighted to be joined by none other than DammitRooster. You are very welcome. Look at that, man.
Looks just like this. Good morning. Well, it's morning for me.
It's morning for you. It's evening time over here. Listen, you're very welcome, first of all, and
Having me, man.
thank you for your time. First question for you, straight off the bat. Your earliest memory. What was the very first game you ever played? What was the very first computer game you ever played? You're going to be showing your age now when you answer this, by the way.
Yeah, it was actually Pong.
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 The original Pong.
Yes.
And was that...
600.
Was that... it was on the Atari 2600, same as mine. Yeah.
Yep. I was born in 83, and I'm like... Because I'm West Indian, right? So we have like huge families. So we're like the brown version of Irish people.
I was just about to say that, yeah.
and we're all born in batches, right? So you got your 1980 to 1985, and then like 87 to 92, like that. So I'm the baby of the oldest set of kids, right? So I have 4 or 5 cousins older than me. So that Atari 2600 was a hand-me-down. As they got like the NES system, I got the Atari. So I played Pong. That was it for me. I was like, well, this is cool. It's something that's on TV that I can control. So, I had to be maybe 4 or 5, but that didn't last long because then that Christmas, my parents got me a Nintendo, an NES, because my birthday was on Halloween and then Christmas is 2 months later. So I always got like the one big combination gift.
You're almost the same as my brother.
I got played every year.
Yeah.
Every year I got played.
And so starting from the 26th, like obviously, can you? Because I spoke to Auntie Tinkerbell, obviously, and she's got all her previous consoles actually shelved. So can you remember what your stages were? Because it's almost like watching a person grow if you look at the consoles that they went through as they.
Yeah. From the 2600, it was maybe 2 months, and then NES, SNES. I forgot the order, but I know there was Sega Genesis in there, not the Master System, Sega Genesis and Dreamcast, but I forgot what order I got them in. And then PlayStation 1, my first 2 games on that were Twisted Metal 2 and Warhawk, the original Warhawk game. And then PS2, 3, and 4. I actually didn't get an Xbox, which is the Xbox I roll with right now, until 2 years ago. And it was a friend of my cousin's. I'm from New York City, so if something falls off a truck, I know. You know what I mean? It was a friend of my cousin's, right, that was selling this. It's a standard Xbox One. It's not an S. It's not an X. Regular Xbox One. He was selling it, the console with 4 controllers and like charging docks for $150. I said, get it. Bring it to my house. I'll give you the cash. And I still roll with that. I didn't get my first Xbox until like 2 years ago, before I started, wanting to do all the streaming stuff full time. So I wanted to diversify. Right.
So that actually brings me on to my next question, and the decision to kind of start streaming. What got you into streaming? What was your catalyst to bring you? Say, all right, I'm gonna put myself out there for everybody else to.
I've told this story a bunch, but let's tell it again. I would. God, how long ago was this? Maybe 4 years ago, 5 years ago, something like that. And I was playing Borderlands 2 co-op with friends of mine. I knew a dude in Chicago. One dude was in Dominica. It's an island somewhere, right? And somebody that lived actually in my neighborhood. That's how we met. Was playing Borderlands 2. So we're all playing, and we were just BSing around. And like I always went by Rooster in the street. It's been a nickname of mine since forever, right? So that's what they called me. Like all my character names are Rooster and all that. So that's what they called me. And when we started playing Borderlands 2, I'd never played it before, but I've always gravitated toward the tank character, or the more guns, the better, because this is America. 45 sat right here next to me, kids. Okay, this is America. You see the 12 gauge in the corner? I asked 12 gauge in the corner. So I went with Salvador, the Gunzerker. That was he's the tank. His special, his ultimate move was to get another gun and run into battle. That's totally me, except for the fact that I'm over 6 foot tall and he's really not. I'm like, okay. So I started playing the game, and we're all playing together. And me, I didn't care about levels or anything like that. So I would just run in like, hey, I have more guns than you. I'm better. Run in, get shot to death. So every time the whole rest of the team would have to come and get me. And the first and second time, it's kind of funny. By the 15th time, it's not so funny. So when you would get that alert, this team member is down, all I would hear in comms is, "Damn it, Rooster." And it became a thing. Right. So I stuck with that. And like I said, we were just BSing around. It's what you do when you play with friends, right? Yeah. We just BS around and I don't see them as jokes. It's just stuff that I say. You know what I mean? Like how come, why is it? Maybe you know, Gaga, how is it that you can drink a drink, but you cannot food a food? Okay? That's how my brain works. No drugs, no alcohol. That's how my brain works. So this stuff that we would just say to one another while we're playing the game, right? So it was mentioned to me by the artist that actually did my first logo, not the one I'm running right now. His name is Denver. He's from Brooklyn. He's a good kid. We hung out. He's like, "Have you ever thought about streaming, like live streaming?" And at the time, I didn't know what it was. I was like, "Is that like porn?" Because I'm back. I didn't know. I had no idea. So he gave me a link to a couple of, at the time, prominent streamers on Twitch. I was like, wait, so they play games and talk into a microphone? He says, yeah, well, I can do that. I could do that. I didn't know at the time what it would take to like get good at it, but I knew it was something I could do, and I play games all the time anyway. Why not talk to other people while I'm doing it? And this was, what's today, 2020? Maybe January, February 2015.
Oh, wow. Okay. So 5 years.
Yeah, something like that.
So
I was on Twitter for a little while, and then I came to what at the time was Beam. I think a week after Microsoft bought Beam.
Yeah, because that's actually, it's funny. I was asking Tink the same thing as well. So like, what made you switch? You know, like obviously everyone would have a different reason. I know Tink had her reasons for switching. What was your reason for saying, okay, I'm coming off one of the biggest streaming sites in the world. This streaming site has just started, so I'm going to take it all and start again.
Well, it's because it was new, was one of the reasons. And also at the time, like now the latency issue on every streaming site, I think, is negligible. But at the time, you're looking at 30 seconds. 30, 40 seconds latency on Twitch at the time. This was years ago. And part of the reason, like I said, I got into it was to talk to other people while I'm gaming. It's hard to have a conversation every 45 seconds. It must be what NASA feels like talking to the people on the space. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, good morning, guys. And then they wait. You know what I mean? Stuff like and that started to get to me. And I noticed, and I still notice today, that on Twitch, if you're a competitive player, it's great for you.
Yeah.
I can see all the competitive play and the way they put in their production and all that stuff to competitive play. Do it. I'm not that guy. You know what I mean? I was playing at the time. I had just gotten a PS4 and I was playing the Uncharted series. One of my hands down favorite series ever. So that month that part 4 came out, I got the Nathan Drake collection on my PlayStation. It's over there. So for 3 weeks, I was playing part 1, part 2, part 3, and then part 4 dropped. And I played that. And that was probably, even till today, the best month, the funnest month of streaming I've ever had. So when it came time to broaden myself, like, well, I want to talk to people. That's at the core of it. That's what I wanted. I wanted the interaction. If you don't want to interact with people, don't stream. If you want to sit and just play the game and keep your mouth shut with a microphone in front, don't stream. Don't. Anyone that says they're not doing it for some kind of money is lying. You know what I mean? For partnership, I mean, not just.
Yeah.
We're gonna get to that. I wanted something different than I was getting at the time. So this little upstart company like Beam, what is that? And at the time they were claiming sub-second latency. At the time was Tachyon. That was fucking horrible. If Tink remembers.
Yeah.
And then the Tachyon got built into OBS. It was still pretty shit. that later mutated into FTL as we know it. It's still got some bugs, but you say hello to me now, I'll say hello to you right back, as opposed to 10 or 15 seconds later. So I wanted something different than I was getting at the time. And like you said, it was teeny tiny. It was brand new. So I said, okay, if I'm going to get my foothold in somewhere, let me start at the bottom with a platform that's at the bottom. And so far it's worked out. I just celebrated my 3rd partner anniversary. Today's the 18th, on the 7th.
So actually, from the partnership end, then let's say we look at partnership. What's it like when you're pushing for that? Like, because obviously people are going to be watching these interviews. Yeah. Some of them are, some of them.
I hope so.
Some of them, so do I. But some of them are going to be going for partnership, and some of them are kind of, there or thereabouts. Others have literally just signed up this week and have just started streaming. So, like, the road to partnership, like, there is a grind in it, but it is fun. I presume it's fun as well. It is, it's work, but when when you get there, like, it's.
No, absolutely. Now I believe it's different than it was when I put in my paperwork. I know the process is different. That there were different phases. Now I'm not 100% sure because I haven't had to apply since, the best advice I got was from 3 or 4 people. Tink was one of them when I told her I wanted to do it. Tink was one of them. Lagby, who's still extremely active in the community, and Cranky Canuck, dear friend, it's passed. He's passed away. And I've kept his picture up on my stream every day since I heard he passed. They all asked me the same thing. And neither one of them knew that I was asking one another. They all asked me the same thing. Why do you want it? What makes you different than every other person going for partnership? And what do you bring to the table? Now, the first 2 I can answer, but the third one, I didn't understand what that meant. Like, what do I bring to the table? Like, I get on, I play games. You know what I mean? When you apply for partnership, you got to understand it's like any other job. You're applying to them. You're going to them. They don't need you. They don't. Nobody is above being expendable in any field. So what can I do differently? At the time, the requirement, among other things, was a minimum of 30 concurrent viewers. 30. It doesn't sound like a lot now, but on Beam, bro, there's you had a lot of people fighting for 30. I think that's why now a lot of us that were around then, we still know the same people. You know what I mean? Rocket Bear, Forrest, Magnetron, Tink has been there for me for a long time. Lagby, people like that. Topic, Tyloo. These are all people that were there already. So we all know one another. You can ask people, if you scroll down and look at somebody's date on Mixer, if it says 2016, 2017, and you ask them, do you know Ghost from Texas? Yeah. Do you know Tila? Yeah. Because we all came up together, right? And as for the grind, I know a lot of people go on the Twitter machine and say that they don't like that word. Okay, what would you call it? You know what I mean? Like, what are you? You're putting in the work. You're paying dues. You're grinding. Yeah. You don't have to like the word, but that's what it is. You know what I mean? Like, I don't like the term influencer, but apparently that's what I am. You know, because the neighborhood I come from, if you're an influencer, you're like a drug dealer, like in my head. You know what I mean? You're tantamount to a drug. So what are you doing differently than the next person? Why should they look at you in this light? Why should they look at you to fly the flag, to represent the brand? How do they know you're not going to get this button and start being a fuckface? How do they know? Yeah. They don't.
Okay, so, well, from that end then, for, like, you know, if you're scrolling, let's just say you're scrolling, what are you looking for when you, if you, like, you know, we see hundreds upon hundreds of challenges if we go browsing. So outside, obviously, of the featured end, but, like, what's going to make you stop at a stream? What's, you know, someone like you, you're experienced, you're a well-known partnered streamer out there, you've been on Twitch, you've been on Mixer. What makes you stop at a stream and go, wow?
For me, personally, I look for something that's different than me. I don't watch people play games that I play, because if this is just my opinion, if that's what I wanted to do, I would just play the game. Yeah. There was one guy I found recently, Kraken, and I hope he listens to this. Kraken Inferno. He just got partnered, right? So I'm scrolling down, like you said, scrolling down the list, and I'm looking, like, just something to catch my eye. And he had his beard, still does, shaved like Lemmy.
Oh,
for
yes.
I fucking love Motorhead. I got a big old, like this big old Lemmy tattoo. Rest
Yeah.
in peace. On my back here after he passed. You can't see it, but you're on 4 monitors right now. They all have Lemmy on it. I got a big old Motorhead tattoo back here. Every ace of spades. If you look at my Twitter, there's a spade there.
Yeah.
If you look at stream titles, there's a spade. I love Motorhead. Rock and roll has been a big part of my life forever. So he had his beard shaved in the manner of, I'm sure there's a name for it. I just don't know what it is. In the manner of Lemmy, right? So I go into his chat and I don't say anything at first. I listen to what he's saying. I listen to how he's saying it, his tone, his cadence, just to kind of feel him out, right? And then I say hello. And he's playing a little bit of rock and roll in the background. And I said, Lemmy would approve this. And I have a Lemmy emote, right? So I pop that and he looks at it. He's like, is that a Lemmy emote? I says, yeah. And he didn't know I was a partner or anything, right? He doesn't know who I am. He just met me. So he puts on a Motorhead song. And I was like, yeah, we're going to be friends now. We're going to be friends now. You're going to be seeing a lot of me. That was going to happen. And we just started talking about music and influences. Like I said, I just met the guy at the time. And like, if you ask him right now, he'll tell you like what my favorite songs are, how I carry myself, stuff like that. And I feel, and again, this is just my opinion, I feel that's the proper way to network.
Yeah.
One another. That's how you meet people. It's how you forge relationships with people based on commonality as opposed to gimme.
Yeah. And unfortunately, there are a few of the gimmies out there as well. But
that's absolutely true. However, they don't last. You can ask Tink.
Yeah.
She's been around for years. We've seen them come and go. They don't last long. So whenever a new trend on Twitter, fucking, what's it called? Streamer Twitter?
Yeah.
Whenever there's a new trend, I just watch it blow over.
Yeah. So
I've seen it, done it.
What I see a lot of, and this is again something I mentioned to Tink, but it's kind of, so you have the person who kind of goes, right, I've been streaming for 2 months now and I've got 1 viewer. What are, like, do you look at the person or do you look at the content? Do you know what I mean? Or is it a bit of both?
I feel it's a bit of both. And I've talked about this before. There are very different genres of what we do, just like there are different genres of rock and roll. We were talking about it before you started recording. You can either be tip top of the food chain, and believe me, nobody wants that. Okay, if you ask anybody if they wanted the position that say Ninja or Shroud have, they'll tell you yes. But if you ask them if they're willing to do the work that them fellas put in to get that and keep it every day, no. Chances are it's no. I've said this before. I don't want to be the top of the food chain. Them fellas can't do anything, nothing, without everybody scrutinizing. I like my privacy. You know what I mean? What was the question?
Well, it's like if you look at the person that has maybe,
that's what it was. Yeah,
and you see it come up a lot.
Mm-hmm. You can be really good at the game or really interactive. You cannot be both. There's no way. There is no way. Because if I'm looking, like right here's my camera, I'm looking at you. I keep my chat right here. Okay. So I'm constantly glancing over and constantly having conversations. But I don't know how it is with everybody else's brain. I can't be focused 100% in more than one place. I'm not a math magician, but that doesn't add up. You know what I mean? I can't be 100% in multiple places. That doesn't make any sense. If I was to play a game and just close chat and or just not even stream, I would be incredible at it. But I want the interaction. So you can either be really good at the game and gain your following that way, but then when you go out in public, you have the personality of a fucking sponge, or you can be interactive. You can be that person that people want to talk to. And then when you're out in the street, they're going to find out you're exactly the same.
Yeah.
This, for me, this is not a gimmick. I don't draw these tattoos on. I don't rub this charisma on every day. You know what I mean? I don't do that.
Okay, well, look, so
I am in the street.
The next question that I have for you, and it's Tink made a really good analogy when I was asking her about how she dealt with trolls, and she said she treats her stream as if, this is a pub I just bought, a bar I owned. That, like, I'm not going to have somebody. So, like, for people out there, because I've come across those people, I've spoken to those people where they've actually come off stream quite upset because, they've had a really nasty troll. And unfortunately, in our line of work, trolls are there. They're, unfortunately, they're a common evil. They're going to be everywhere. So how do you deal with somebody who comes into your chat, or how would you tell somebody that, has people coming into their chat that are just making life difficult for them? For me, I possibly maybe would assume you're the same. I know what think it is. It bounces off you because you're used to it and you've kind of built up a bit of a wall. But how would you deal with somebody that comes in kind of trying to make a nuisance of themselves in your stream?
It actually depends on the mood that I'm in. TOS violations are an outright ban, and my team knows this. TOS violations are not up to me to interpret. They're there for a reason. That's an outright ban. But I don't even call them trolls because I can be trolly with you. You know what I mean? You can be trolly with me, and it's lighthearted. It's not meant to stab at your guts. I call them other people's kids because that's what they are, right? Depending on the mood I'm in, I'll just, like I said, a TOS violation is a ban. No questions asked. I have no tolerance for that. A ban and a report. Okay. Sometimes it's just, I call out a 555 and my team knows that you just time them out for 555 minutes. If that's not enough for you to calm down and understand that I'm a human being and that you will never, ever, ever be louder than the person on the microphone, so keep running your mouth, you're going to learn some shit about your mother you never knew, then there's nothing I can do for you.
Yeah. Okay. I see exactly where you're coming from.
Sometimes I toy with them. Like, I'll tell my team, nobody touch this person. And they get it.
He's mine.
Yeah. But they'll all be ready. They'll all be ready with that 555. So when I'm finished doing what I'm doing, I'll say, drop it.
Yeah.
And they're gone. But this is, and what people don't understand, these four walls are for me. Okay. You can tell I love my country. Okay. But these four walls are not a democracy. This is all run by me. It's all about me. If you're coming into chat and saying stupid shit, you're trying to take attention away from me. I take issue with that. So since you want daddy's attention, I'm going to give you the attention that you don't want. Being a troll on the internet is like asking for prison sex. You know what I mean? When you're in prison, you want to get laid. But believe me, the loving you're getting locked up is not the one you want. It's like that. You come to my house and start spouting all kinds of shit that Catbot will pick up, let's say. Okay? I've been called all kinds of outlandish shit. I understand what I look like. But I also grew up in New York City in the 80s. We didn't have the internet. We had your mama jokes.
Yeah.
Okay? So when I tell you that this is what it is, 30 seconds later, I and everyone else in my chat will forget your name. That's the legacy you've left as nothing. But you're going to be crying about it because you are going to get on your Xbox controller and leave me an Xbox message with all kinds of hateful shit that I don't check. I don't. Because I'm an adult. I don't check Xbox messages. What the fuck? I have things to do. You know what I mean? When I'm finished streaming, I let the dogs out and I go do dishes. You know what I mean? I have shit to do. So everybody handles their trolls differently, but you're absolutely right. Some people do get off stream and are in a really foul mood because of the, not even actions, the words of other people. And I find it hard for myself to try and not coach. I feel like coach is the wrong word. To try and explain to people that, like what I just said, these four walls are for me. I have all the power here. Some people don't, they'll see the words and it'll hit them right inside. And I feel for those people, but I can't relate personally to taking it personally.
Yeah.
I'm not built that way. I'm not conditioned that way. And if I mod for you, you better believe I'm going to do the same thing to those people with my green name. I've done it in Tink's channel constantly. And she just lets me ride because I think it's hilarious. So because no one's going to remember your name, but you're going to remember mine. Right.
So moving on, I'm now terrified to ever go into your channel. Moving on. I asked I've asked a couple of people about this, but it's always a good source of discussion. So Mixer right now in its current inception, with the arrival obviously of, as you said, like likes of Shroud and Gatalion and obviously Ninja as well, and a few other big names. Do you see Mixer going from strength to strength continuously? Do you see Twitch not so much dropping off, but not being the only show in town anymore?
I look at it, like I said, I grew up in the 80s. I grew up on 80s pro wrestling, right? I don't think that anything, and this is my estimation, anything Mixer does in the next 5 years is going to even touch the monster that is Twitch. I don't think so. I was actually here visiting my girlfriend at the time, is now my wife. I was here in Denver when the whole Ninja thing happened. And I was asked what I thought about it. And I immediately, this is great for business. And then you got your people that, getting, cutting video promos and posting them on Twitter and YouTube and just really griping me. Like, what's your problem? You as a quote unquote small streamer, if that's how you identify yourself, that's what you're always going to be. I'm sorry. Yeah. And I am Brandon. He posted up something the other day that, I don't owe you anything. If you think I'm a larger streamer, I appreciate it, but I don't owe you any support because you call yourself a small streamer. That's not the point. I looked at it as the top of the food chain. Like, I don't play Fortnite, but I can't say I hate it, right? I don't. It's not for me. BR games are not for me. For me, BR games are like eating crab, okay? People listening to this are going to be, what the fuck is he talking about? Let me explain. When you eat crab, right, you put in a lot of work for a little bit of payoff. For me, that's what BR games are, okay? You're gathering gear for 45 minutes. Somebody comes up behind you, double taps you in the back of the head, back to the lobby. I take issue with that. I have a problem with that. So it's not for me, right? But I do see the impact that Fortnite has had on the gaming community, number one, and the world, okay? Sony never liked to play with other people. Fortnite said, okay, we're going to fuck with you. Let's make it crossplay. Ninja was on the cover of ESPN magazine. Okay. For all those people that think that gamers are fat, lazy people, look at him. He's a skinny dude with blue hair. You know what I mean? He was on the cover of a legitimate sports magazine. That man single-handedly put millions of eyes on me for free. Then you got your people that don't see that. They'll cut their video promos and bitch and gripe. Don't you have enough money? First of all, you are nobody to determine whether or not I have enough. You're nobody that determines that. That man has a family to feed. He's got a team to feed. I have a family to feed. I have a team to feed. You don't determine whether or not I have enough. Okay, so if that's your biggest gripe, that's a you problem. You need to figure out what it is about you and your content that are keeping people from coming to watch you. Same thing with titty streamers stealing views. That's not a thing. It's not. Don't get me wrong. Okay. Don't get me wrong. My wife is right in the other room. Don't get me wrong. I would rather look at titties than me all day. But if you look at the numbers, the top 10 highest paid streamers in the world are men. Yeah. So you need to figure out, again, what it is about you and your shitty content because you feel you're doing the ninja formula. You're playing Fortnite. That's not the ninja formula. Okay? You need to figure out what it is about you and your content that keep people from coming to you.
Okay.
That's all it is. What was the question?
I've actually forgotten now what the question was at this point. I'm supposed to be interviewing. No, it was about the rise of Mixer. Like, where do you see Mixer going?
I don't think, like, you can't right now, the way things are going, you can't put a dent in that armor that is Twitch right now. But from what I understand, and from a business standpoint, it would be stupid to say that Mixer is not competing with Twitch. From a business standpoint, that would be dumb. But since it was Beam, it's always wanted to be different than the other guys. And there's more than just Twitch. It wanted to be different, wanted to provide different experiences. Like when we had the interactive board, it was incredible. You remember Soundwave Interactive? Yeah. That was horrible, but it was what we had and nobody else had it.
Yeah.
FTL has grown into this thing. You know what I mean? It's borderline instant messaging, right? If you're paying attention to the chat, right? I don't see it being even now, I don't see it being a threat. It's an alternative.
Yeah.
You know, like UFC and Bellator. It's an alternative. Anybody can go wherever they want. You can do whatever you want. But are you going to do the work? what do you want out of it? You know, and people think they know what they want. It's easy to say the words, "Oh, I want to be a partner." Why? Because all my friends are partners. Oh, okay. All right. It's one thing to get that sub button. It's another thing to get people to press it.
Yeah,
and they have to keep pressing it, you know?
That's for sure. Okay, well, look, I'm going to move on very quickly to the technical side of things because we have all the tech geeks are going to be watching you. So what they want to know is...
They're about to be sorely disappointed.
what have you got under the hood?
If you go to my profile, mixer.com/DammitRooster, I'm a shameless shill for myself. And you scroll down to my bio, all my stuff is there. All my gear is, I think, 3 years out of date. So at the time, it was top of line. I'm running 3 PCs. One for streaming, one for gaming, and the other is tertiary. So that one, on the third one, I have my Google Calendar, so I know what I'm doing. I keep Pixel Chat up there for my closed captioning. I keep my bot open over there because my bot is cloud-based. I have Mixer open. Like right now, Uni is on the stream. Uni is streaming. I'm watching him. Not that I'm not paying attention to you, but he's a friend, right? So that's like the low end. But in the 2 big ones, they're almost identical. I'm running i7 6700s. In the gaming rig is a GTX 1080. In the streaming rig is a GTX 1060. So I do all my rendering and all that off of that. 32 gigs of RAM in both. I'm looking at them. So
yeah,
gigs of RAM in both machines, and a bunch of peripherals.
I've seen your truck driving simulator actually, which I think has to be the coolest thing ever.
This is the wheel right here.
Yeah.
All this stuff by Thrustmaster.
Yeah.
To Thrustmaster. I met them as part of networking.
Yeah.
I met from Thrustmaster as part of proper networking in Boston at PAX East, not this year, last year. And promises were made on both sides, and they sent me all what you see on stream with the wheel and the shifter and about $1,000 worth of kit.
Wow. Yeah.
With a pinky swear promise, and that's what's in the email. Pinky swear promise that whenever I use the gear, I would showcase it on camera. So I have another camera. This pole right here.
Yeah.
That's the camera that sits behind me and looks at the shifter, and you can see my feet moving on the 3 pedals and all that stuff.
It looks pretty cool. Okay, so we're going to move on now to the final fun part of the interview.
I said it before you started recording that this was the easiest part, but now my brain is,
So Desert Island Disc. So normally it's book, movie, and album, but we're also including a game. So you're stranded on a desert island. 1 book, 1 movie, 1 album, and 1 game.
Okay. 1 book would be Ozzy Osbourne's first book.
Love that book.
Yes. Trust me, I'm Dr. Ozzy. I liked it, but I loved Ozzy.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can see it right here. It's Ozzy with the middle finger.
Oh, very good. Yeah.
I was the book. What was the other one?
Movie.
And it's weird that you asked because I was just talking about this with my wife like an hour ago. There was a time in my life where me and my friends watched Scarface every day for 2 or 3 years. Every day. But movie, honestly, like now that probably Snatch. And I mean the Guy Ritchie movie.
Yeah.
Don't go Googling Snatch. You're going to... You know what I mean?
But actually, it's funny, similar to that, just about Scarface. Scarface is one of those movies, no matter what time of the day or night, if you sit down in front of the TV and it's on, you have to watch it. You just have to watch it.
You do. You have to. But now I feel because I've gotten older and out of that street shit, it would probably be Snatch. It's one of those movies, like even now, I feel it was a flawless movie. Like you watch movies over and over, and there's only one flaw I found in it. Go with me on this. You know the movie I'm talking about?
Yeah, oh, very well.
It's watching. Okay. When Boris goes to hire Saul and Vinny, right? Tells them $50,000 for a day's work, right? Later on, they have Frankie Four Fingers in the pawn shop with the tea cozy on his head. Boris comes in and, he's like, why did you just shoot him? Because we're not kidding. No, I'm not going to quote the whole movie. So he takes out a stack of cash. He's like, well, here's the 10 large. He promised them 50. But you can keep, and also right when he chops his arm off, you can keep the 10 grand. So that's twice he said 10,000. But in the beginning, he promised them 50 for a day's work. But Yeah, it would probably be Snatch. I could watch it every day. I've watched it so much, I even understand what Brad Pitt is saying as Mickey, the Irish guy.
One of our streamers actually in our group was a stuntman on that movie.
Was he?
Yeah, he was. He's actually been, he's been stuntman for a couple of them. So I have to give a shout out to Click San for that. What's your favorite album?
We've talked about this, right?
Yeah.
If they made a compilation of And Justice for All and Master of Puppets, I would take that. But my favorite record ever is And Justice for All.
Yeah.
It was his really last true thrash record. And they were mourning for Cliff and all that. So you and I could talk about music forever.
Yeah, that's the thing.
They were still mourning Cliff. So you had like the 8 or 9 minute long, just angry, aggressive thrash metal. Just go.
Yeah.
I mean, it would have to be either that or Master of Puppets, because you have like Disposable Heroes, the title track, Master of Puppets, Battery, all kinds of things. But for me to listen to every day, And Justice for All.
And finally,
a lot of people, they would probably, because I've been playing games since 6, right? The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time.
Okay.
Fight me.
Okay, fair point. I will give you that one.
The only reason I got a Nintendo 3DS was because they were releasing it on that. I was like, well, I can take it
now. Okay, very good. Okay. Well, listen, damn it, Rooster. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. And thank you very much for taking the time out to actually, before I go, there's one thing I need to ask you. One line of advice for streamers out there that are currently watching this. Streamers with no viewers, streamers with 20 viewers, streamers with 3,000 viewers. What's your one bit of advice that you'd give to somebody?
Stay humble. Stay humble. I know people say it all the time, but I'm in recovery, by the way. Coming up on 10 years drinking drug-free. Stay humble.
Congratulations, yeah.
Thank you. Life will humble your ass, whether you want it to or not. You'll be going on your day and like, oh yeah, I'm top of the world. I can treat people like shit if I want to. No. Life will humble you. Remember where you came from. Remember who was there for you. Don't be that. Don't step on people, man. Just don't. A lot of people use karma as a punishment. I was born a Hindu. My parents taught me all this when I was young. Karma is not punishment. Karma is balance. So for you to wish bad on somebody else, like, oh, you're going to get yours. What do you think you're going to get? It's the same thing. It's balance. Just remember where you came from. Stay not meek, but stay humble. You know what I mean? When somebody wants to take a picture with you at a convention, hell yeah, you will. If somebody wants to stop and talk to you, hell yeah, you will. Because those are the people that were there for you when you had nothing. Just remember that.
Excellent. Well, listen, good advice from DammitRooster, and thank you very much for taking the time, my friend.
Thanks for having me.
And it's been an absolute pleasure. And you know what? I just have to do that. Stay rocking. Okay.
Absolutely. Do it forward.
Thank you very much, DammitRooster. Right.
Fighting dragons. Ronnie James Dio is not dead. He's not. He's in space fighting dragons.
DammitRooster, thank you very much indeed.